I am the greatest. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your ass. You won't do shit. Just stick and move. And just waking you up and saying, now stick and move. Keep your hands up.
Welcome to a new episode of the Stick and Move podcast. I am your host, Trey, here with my homeboy, Sam. And today we are discussing in one of our more popular series, our overrated series. A couple of weeks ago, we did Roy Jones Jr., and today we are doing Julio Cesar Chavez. Now, before I kick it off to you, Sam, asking for your opinion, the reason why we brought this up is because we did a top 3 most overrated, and majority of the comments were either Roy Jones Jr. or Julio Cesar Chavez. So I kick it to you. Why do you think, don't tell me if you think he's overrated yet, but why do you think a lot of people think he's overrated?
I think a lot of people think he's overrated by his previous record, like his early record when there was fights that he had where he was fighting people that were like 2-10, and it's just he had a bad record in the beginning when he first started his boxing career, and some people think because of the robberies, like the robbery of the Pernell Whitaker fight, stuff like that. That's my opinion. That's what I think.
Let me ask you this, and this is a hot topic conversation. Do you think this has to do with Mayweather envy? In other words, Mayweather is 50-0, 49-0 in my opinion. I don't think the McGregor fight should have counted, but that's a conversation for another day. You think it has a lot to do with that Mayweather envy where people are like, I don't think anybody can touch the 50-0 record, even though there has been others that have. That the idea that Chavez was 89-0 was, they're damaging that reputation, that record, to preserve a little bit of that Mayweather. Because let's be honest, a big portion of the social media boxing fans out there grew up on the Mayweather dominance of the mid 2000s to early teens of the 2000s. What do you think about that theory?
Yeah, I think that's huge. I think because, they feel offended for one to say, well, Chavez was 89-0.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think they challenge it by saying, well, Floyd's undefeated. He's won more champions, so I could see that. I could see where that angle of it and why people would assume that Chavez is overrated.
It's interesting, man, because there are other boxers we got that were overrated, but the two most were Roy Jones Jr. and Cesar Chavez. And growing up, bro, maybe because we came from Latino part of town. Hey guys, Trey here. If you love today's controversial episode and you want to see our channel grow, please drop a like, subscribe, and also comment. Sam and I are always going back and forth with those commenters on our controversial topics and opinions, and we love it so much. So go ahead and hit that like button, hit that subscribe, most importantly, so our channel can grow and we can give you guys the best content as possible. Sam and I were always uploading multiple videos a week, and we want to continue doing that, and we need your help. So go ahead and subscribe, guys. And most importantly, like I always say, don't forget to stick and move, baby. But, dude, Chavez was a god. He was respected from all races. If I'm not mistaken, I think Ring Magazine had him from like 1990 to 1993, the number 1 pound-for-pound champ for like 3 straight years. If I'm not mistaken, I could be wrong on that. But, dude, it was undeniable. So let's go right into the thick of it. Do you think he's overrated or not?
No, I don't think he's overrated, man. Yeah, dude, He fought Edwin Rosario.
I was about
When
to say that.
yeah, he fought Edwin Rosario. Rosario had like one loss. He fought Hector Camacho. Camacho was 40-1. He
Right.
fought De La Hoya when De La Hoya was 21-0. And I mean, they stopped the fight because of a cut. You know, he was bloody or whatever. I mean, he knocked out Meldrick Taylor. Meldrick Taylor was what, 26? I got it written down right here. He was 26-0, and he was a Olympic gold, bro.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, this guy. I mean, he fought Joey Gamage. He fought so many great fighters, bro. Look at the way he knocked out Roger Mayweather.
Right.
I mean, Pernell Whitaker. You know what I'm saying? You know, I have my opinions about it, but dude, I mean, he's fought everybody. Overrated? I mean, the guy went 89-0. I don't care who you fight. Holding up an 89-0 record and then coming to the US and knocking out their champions, bro, from Mexico. Yeah. I don't think, you know, put it this way. Don King wouldn't invest millions upon millions of dollars on a fighter he thinks is overrated or is just a hype job, in my opinion.
And that's actually where I want to go. The Don King, I've talked about this a little bit throughout this podcast, our 20-something episodes already. Actually, we have more. But look, Don King, as boxing fans, we need to learn how to separate the boxer from the promoter. If a fight doesn't happen, it's not because the boxer's dodging. 99 out of 100 times, it's always the promoter. Okay? If there's a bad scorecard, it's not because Chavez or any other boxer is paying off the judges. If it is, because I don't even think that's a real thing. It's not like the way it was beforehand, like in the 40s when the mob was into it. If it was, it would be the promoter. Now, I would say this. I think the last promoter that had that kind of pull was Don King. You know what I'm saying? He was the guy that, in my opinion, was massively corrupted. Dollar signs all over the place. He had the best boxers. He had Tyson. He had Larry Holmes. He had Cesar Chavez. He had De La Hoya in the beginning, if I'm not mistaken.
I think he had Duran too.
Yeah, Duran. You're right. And he was the top of the class, you know, and he controlled a lot of the boxing narrative, and he is forgotten. People are blaming the boxers for this guy's mischief as a promoter. It's a master class. You want to talk about boxing and master classes? It's a master class on how to fool the public into giving the blame, deflecting the blame, not on me as a promoter, but on the boxer. So I also want to talk about what you said a little while ago about the decisions that went the other way against Whitaker and so on. Look, bro, and I've talked about it too. Yes, and you and I got to do an episode on that fight, the Whitaker and Chavez one, because I saw the same fight you did. I think Whitaker won as well, wholeheartedly. But bro, I think he messed up Whitaker. Maybe it was the emotional part of getting his first O for Pernell Whitaker, but I think the few punches that did connect were life altering. If you ever hear about Roger Mayweather, he even said in an interview the hardest he ever got hit was by I was gonna say De La Hoya, was by Cesar Chavez. There was something to going into war with this guy, and I honestly think that was part of his lure. If you went into a battle with this guy, maybe you beat him on decision, or maybe you got a draw like Pernell Whitaker did. And who is the other one? I'm drawing a blank right now. God dang it. But dude, he was an effective puncher, like an iron fist puncher. But you know, I agree with you. I don't think he's overrated at all. And I'm just saying that because, you know, of our culture. The guy took on everybody, like you said. Go ahead.
Life altering, bro? Life altering? No. The fight that changed, that made a huge difference in somebody's life is the destruction he gave Meldrick Taylor, bro.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Well, hold on. When Pernell Whitaker got the draw, he to me, his fights afterwards, he wasn't the same anymore.
The loss affected him. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe you're right in the sense of maybe the punches that he got from Chavez weren't. I'm over exaggerating it a little bit, but the emotional part of it might have loosened him up too. And you're right, dude. That Meldrick Taylor fight, dude, like ruined him, dude. You know, I mean, he lost right after to who else? Terry Norris. I mean, he got onto a. I mean, he wasn't the same after fighting Chavez. Go ahead.
Yeah, then when he gave Meldrick Taylor the rematch, I mean, bro, it was over.
Yeah.
I mean, he put the nail in the coffin, literally. Like
Well,
he
look.
just destroyed the man's whole. I mean, he took his soul in the first fight, and that was it.
Dude, you're talking about a 3-time world champion in 3 different weight classes, man. And he started out all the way from like super featherweight, and he'll go all the way to 144, challenging De La Hoya and those bigger boxers because that's what he wanted to do. And he was already in his 15th plus year of fighting. I think he was in his 16th year of fighting when he took on De La Hoya the first time. And this is what De La Hoya was. De La Hoya. This was before you know he fell apart. And I don't know, dude. I just think that he's actually underrated, if you ask me. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, look, man. Any fighter that can come from the bottom, bro. Even no matter what part of the world you're from, Manny Pacquiao, and no matter what part of the world you're from, John Mugabe, no matter what part of the world you come,
right?
Like these guys that I just mentioned, you don't come, bro, slaying it, killing it, fight per fight in the ring, wherever you're from, to show up and own Las Vegas, bro, and be an underrated fighter, bro.
That was the interesting part. I'm glad you brought that up, bro. It was him and Mike Tyson in the late 80s, early 90s that ruled Vegas. A heavyweight and a freaking super featherweight dominating the market in boxing. A Mexican guy, very short guy that was the big draw. I mean, that goes to show you the significance that Chavez had when he came bringing relativity back. Because you remember the mid 80s, bro, and early 80s in the heavyweight division was a nightmare, brother, which was why you and I have had many conversations about this. Tyson was able to dominate the way he did. You know, it wasn't until the welterweights of the 80s, the 4 Kings, and then here was this flyweight, 20 pounds lighter, just wrecking boxing. You know, it was an interesting time in boxing. It kind of reminds me of now with the lightweights, and then Canelo at the lightweight division. I'm sorry, drawing a blank right now, but like you don't see really heavyweights nowadays taking over the limelight like they did back then. And in the 80s, it kind of resembled that. And Chavez was on top of the class. He was just as famous as Tyson. Well, I don't want to say as famous as Tyson, but for a guy that was this Mexican boxer who spoke no English to have that crossover appeal, I mean, I don't know, man. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yes, I mean, Chavez carried a whole country with him, bro. Chavez is what Mexico wanted out of Salvador Sanchez, bro.
Right.
But Sanchez went early, with the accident. But I mean, dude, Chavez climbed, he got in, he beat up a U.S. Olympic boxer, bro. And I mean, he was just knocking everybody out, bro. You know what I mean? No matter, who it was, the guy was just dominating his style, the whole Mexican style of fighting. I mean, people just love what they were watching. And just like you said, I mean, dude, him and Mike Tyson, I mean, they took over Vegas, bro.
Right.
And to be overrated, how, bro? How can Chavez be overrated? You know what I'm saying?
I'm looking at his list right now. He started in 1981. He was already the super featherweight champ by knocking out Mario Martinez in 1984. Super featherweight, I said, right? By KO. He has 37 title defenses. He holds the record with the most successful world titles of 27 with I think Finito Lopez. I could be wrong on that. Dude, he also has the second most. Yeah. Check this out. He also has the second most title defenses by KO with 21. I think the only one he's behind, if I'm not mistaken, also, I think it was Marciano or Joe Louis. I could be off on that. But, dude, you don't get to have that many title defenses. That means you are fighting another champion or a top rank contender. So that goes to tell you that no matter if they were looking back on revisionist history, scrubs or not, that they were at the very least competitive in that era. You fight who's in front of you, man. You can't control who your competition is, especially when it comes to a title defense. So, in my opinion, I actually kind of think he's an underappreciated legend, and I kind of feel, and this is going to divide our audience a little bit, I kind of feel it's that Mayweather effect. They want to protect that 50-0 as much as possible, and really downplay other boxers that were undefeated for so long, like Rocky Marciano or Pancho Villa or those other boxers that went forever without losing a fight. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's what Devin Haney was talking about when he said that Mayweather kind of ruined the whole sport because everybody doesn't want to fight each other because everybody's taking care of their old record,
right?
But I at least me, I don't really care about that. I like fighters that come back, bro, from losing and defending and becoming again champions. I just love that, man. But yeah, I understand. Underappreciated Chavez, but he is not overrated, bro. Chavez is one of the all-time greats, and arguably the best Mexican boxer of all time.
Look, bro, he was already, I think, 20 or 25 years, if I'm not mistaken, when he would fight Zoo. Speaking of Zoo's father for a belt. I mean, he got knocked out, but I mean, that goes to show you that he was never afraid. He put everything on the line all the time. And we got to, as fans, even for the new guys, right? Even for the casuals, like you like to say, that are not really familiar with the significance of boxing records, we got to start to understand that at the time what these boxers were going through is completely different than what boxers are today. Look, I've said this before. Chavez in that era and boxers before that this was their livelihood. They couldn't fight once or twice a year and play golf for 6 months in between. When he fought, he went back into training. He ran through the mountains. He ran through the fields of Sonora, Mexico, and he did everything possible. Once the fight was over, 1 week break to recover, and then let's go back to training. And even then, even while they were on their break, they were working on endurance and calisthenics and stuff like that. So they fought multiple times a year. If you're going to fight 5+ times a year, it's hard to get top contenders every single time. And by the way, and we talked about this a lot, this was an era where it was okay to have a tune-up fight. You know what I'm saying? It was okay to, if you're going to go up in weight, let's take your time with it and let's fight some guys to get adjusted to the body weight before I take on the champ or a top contender. We're seeing it as a major flaw today. We're putting so much vitriol on boxers today if they even take a mandatory or a tune-up when they go up in class or even to maintain a belt, because we want to see them always take on the best. And I see why. But dude, we saw it with Jermell Charlo, this fight with Canelo. Are you telling me he could not have used a tune-up fight at 168 before Canelo?
Yeah.
Or even a tune-up fight at 160 and then go to 165, get a tune-up fight that like work his way up to go to Canelo. So these boxers, that's what they did. I mean, they took every payday they could, and if it was, to fight a guy with not a great record, guess what, man? that's what, that was part of the culture then. It wasn't laughter. It wasn't disrespected like it would be today. Go ahead. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah. I mean, I think today's boxers are a bunch of divas, in my
Hmm.
opinion. They're skilled fighters, yes, but they're also divas. I think they get paid way too much money. They get paid way too much and they take the whole year off. You
Right.
know what I mean? I think there should be more of a demand. I think there's
Hmm.
too many titles, and I think that the mandatories should be pushed by by the commissions. Like,
Right.
demand it or we're going to
Right.
strip you. And then
Right.
Chavez would have a fight, bro. He would have a fight and he already had one scheduled already next, bro. Lined up.
Exactly. Right.
Lined up. I remember he beat I'm not sure who it was that he beat, and then Greg Hagen
Hmm.
was next in line, and Greg Hagen jumped in the ring. Hey, we're next, and guess what? It happened next,
Right.
and
Right.
I
Right.
mean, it was just Chavez was just busier, and they were just it was even the older boxers will tell you, we were animals, bro. We were we
Hmm.
were we were beasts compared to these guys today. I mean, Tank said it himself. Those guys were fighting, man. They were real rough people, and
Yeah.
it's Chavez. He proved enough, man, to the world, to even here in America, that he's a legend. And somebody that was there had said that when Canelo walked out in that ring and the place erupted, they go, y'all didn't see how it erupted when Chavez walked into that
It's
arena.
true. It's true.
You know what I'm saying? When Chavez walked into, I mean, that place lost its mind, man.
Right.
And no, he's a legend, bro. He's not overrated. He's like you say, he's underappreciated. hundred
It
percent.
it's interesting because you bring that up, and I brought this before, dude. I have memories, bro, of block parties of just people watching Chavez. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And it was, like a Mexican parade
It was a
everywhere.
holiday.
It was a holiday, man. You heard the fajitas cooking, the barbecues going, and the beers crackling, and it was, dude. This guy brought ceremony, the holiday that you speak of, to the Mexican culture at the time. I mean, he was a symbol not only for boxing, but what us as a Latino culture wanted to aspire to as boxing fans. And yeah, when the Whitaker fight happened, yeah, you could hear a pin drop in those house parties, bro. But at the end of the day, a draw or a loss, you know what? You just get up and keep fighting. A lot of times, these boxers today, if they get a loss, they're done. You don't hear from them ever again.
Yeah. And people
Or
call him
they
a bums.
or they call them bums. Like, I don't remember this conversation until 10, 15 years ago, bro. Like, it is what it is. You win some, you lose some. It was like, dang, my favorite boxer lost. Hopefully next time he gets it back. We didn't go to sleep thinking like, oh, he lost his undefeated record. I don't remember saying that ever
Yeah.
until
Yeah.
Mayweather happened. And there are plenty of undefeated boxers back in the 90s and 80s and 2000s and late 70s that you and I grew up to, dude. So I don't know where this narrative came from. I have a feeling, and we're going to get a lot of hate for this. I think it is the new fans that are getting into boxers where they just go to boxrec.com and they just look at the records and they're like, oh, dude, this guy has 8, 9 losses, after his 70th or 80th or 90th or 100th win. Dude, I've seen a comment where somebody said that Sugar Ray Robinson was overrated because he had more losses than Mayweather.
Yeah.
The
No. Yeah.
comments,
That's
yeah,
ridiculous.
yeah,
That's ridiculous.
the comments were like, well, Mayweather never lost, Robinson did. I mean, like, are we gonna have this conversation? And maybe we should have this conversation on this podcast. So go ahead. You have any final thoughts on this topic?
No, on this topic, no, Chavez was not overrated. He's like you say, he's underappreciated. He's a symbol. He's an icon. He's a pillar to the boxing. He kept boxing alive through the 90s, 80s,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
he made the lightweights, a big division to watch. You know what I
He did.
mean? He did. You know what I'm saying? And he fought a lot of fighters in their primes, bro. In their primes.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And no, he's not overrated, bro.
Yeah, dude. He took on De La Hoya when nobody wanted to fight him.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it was all for country, bro. He was already this old man. He's like, let's do it. You know what I'm saying? I want to go into the elephant in the room here before we sign off. And I apologize. When we did our top 3 Mexican fighters, you had them off.
Yeah. I had him off to this is the only reason. The only reason I had him off was because he was an obvious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was an obvious. He was an obvious great Mexican warrior, and I just wanted to give shine to other fighters that have been they're unsung heroes. You know what I mean? To let the new audience members know, hey, we had some good Mexican fighters that, for me, in my opinion, I like their styles better than Chavez's style, which was Salvador Sanchez and Canelo. You know what I'm saying? Those for me were fun to watch because they boxed.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They had a different style, and that's why I had them as my greatest.
No, we'll leave it at that, man. By the way, if Salvador Sanchez did not have his, did not go early, he was a class below Chavez. Mexican fighters, they'll challenge each other. He was already a few years into fighting longer than Chavez was as a pro. If they would have met at a catchweight at maybe 123, or Sanchez went up to 126, or
126,
Chavez went down to or Chavez went to 120, who do you think you would win?
You're gonna put me in the spot, and you're gonna make me
I'll answer the question too, but go ahead.
Yeah. I think that Chavez couldn't touch Salvador Sanchez.
Yeah.
I think that Sanchez was just he can move. He was imagine this. He was like, for me, this is just my opinion. Y'all can say whatever y'all want in the comment section. For me, Salvador Sanchez was like a Mexican Sugar Ray Leonard.
All right.
He was like a Mexican Sugar Ray Leonard. He was like a Mexican Tommy Hearns. He just had style. He had footwork. He had speed. He had power. He had charisma. He was just, for me, that's why I had him as the greatest Mexican boxer.
I think it would be a lot closer than you think, and I think that the test would be, now I'm not comparing them, but the way Chavez knocked around Roger Mayweather, the Mexican assassin, right? I think that's a good test of the diversity that Chavez had in his boxing arsenal at such a young age. He was what, 3 or 4 or 5 years into his professional career when he took on Roger. You're talking about Chavez. I think he had like a 64-inch reach against a guy with a 74-inch reach, if I'm not mistaken, 75, 73, something like that. To be able to maneuver around and cut in and break that Philly shell so easily, not only one time in a fight, but a second time against Roger Mayweather, making him quit in the second fight. I think the fight would be a lot closer than you think. I'm not saying he would beat Sanchez, but I think it'll be one of those legendary fights that people still talk about today, man. So we'll leave it at that. Any last words for our viewers?
Yeah, just one more thing. There was a fighter. I have to go back to this because I have to, be I have to speak up for Salvador Sanchez. There was a boxer, bro, they called him the Professor, and Zuma Nelson.
Yeah,
and the guy, the guy, bro, he was a beautiful,
Yeah, he was
beautiful
awesome.
boxer.
Awesome.
Yeah, and dude, he I just think that those days, Saul Sanchez won. I just think that those days, they were a different animal, bro. They were, I mean, they were just a different animal, and that's why. I just feel they were different animals in those days, and I
Right.
think I'm not, I'm not disrespecting Chavez at all. I just think that you're asking me who I think would win, and I would say Sanchez would win. My opinion. That's it.
Okay. One last thing. If I'm not mistaken, I think I read this wrong. Maybe the people are. We have a lot of great historians on our as our viewers, and if I'm not mistaken, I think Salvador Sanchez, even though this is a Chavez podcast, was actually going to fight Alexis Arguello, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Who knows what would have happened on that one? That would have been a great one too.
Yeah.
But all right, guys. So we'll go ahead and leave it at that. Thank you guys for watching. If you want to get in contact, if you guys get a message from the Stick and Move podcast, that is me. If you get a message from Stick and Move Sam, that is obviously Sam. We're always trying to respond to comments, and we need your help on the subscribers, guys. So go ahead and subscribe, reference us, and we appreciate it very much, guys. And like I always say, don't forget to stick and move, baby.
I am the greatest. I wish I was 50 years younger and I'd kick your